Sorry we're a little late. Are you guys ready for what is about to happen in the immediate future? Alright, because when this baby hits 88 questions per hour, you're gonna see some serious stuff. Alright, so I see we got a lot of great fans in the audience, a lot of costumes, and we're gonna have some fun. Without further ado, let's bring up the men of the hour. Doc Brown himself, Christopher Lloyd, Biff, Tannen, Thomas F.
Is this on? All right, before we begin, I want to play my own version of that song from the greatest movie of all time. The one that you and I love. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Hello, folks. Here we go. Howdy, hey, hi there, start the show. We've been in movies, been on TV, and that makes us celebrities. Tom Wilson and Christopher Lloyd. We are very important. Kapow! Excitement crackling through the air. Lose your worries, forget your cares. You people in back should be sitting up here because sometimes I spit when I sing. I had recent dental work done. Showbiz is our life, my friends. We know just what to do. Weird guys you've seen on TV, and face it, people on TV are just better than you. People on TV are better than you. Kim Kardashian, Anderson Cooper, Donald Trump, and us. Woo! I've survived in showbiz, we paid our dues. You gotta give me credit, you can't refuse. I know a guy who knows Tom Cruise. Yes, I'm that connected. But I'm not into Scientology. Ooh, Back to the Future, Freaks and Geeks. I was in a big movie called The Heat. My resume's longer than 50 feet, though a lot of it is unimpressive. Hey. I was on a TV show with Scott Baio. You might think you don't like me. You think I'm on an ego trip. Hey, I don't care because I'm famous. And that's more important than relationships. Fame is more important than relationships. Tom Wilson, he's kind of famous. He has lost all of his friends. Big whoop. Tonight is gonna be the best. A showbiz party, a big success. Just lower your standards. Start expecting less. And let those lowered expectations start with me. I have asthma, yeah. Thank you. I will now be merciful and stop playing the ukulele.
All right, thanks everybody. That's our show.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Do you want me to tell my story first? You want to talk first? Or you want me to do that? I usually start out because people, we'll do Q&As. We want to do Q&As. Chris has had, what a magnificent career. Huh? Give it up for this guy. We're not worthy. But with a character like Biff, or Griff, or Buford Mad Dog Tannen, people ask me, how did I get that part? So I'll just tell you that, because sometimes that's one of the questions. So I have my story, where I went out to the audition. I was in some television shows. I was on a very special Facts of Life. I was on a very special Knight Rider. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can act my whole part out for you. Hey, come back! killed in a Kung Fu movie, but I hadn't been in a movie. I introduced biscuits at Kentucky Fried Chicken in the national commercial, some of you know. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, before me, no biscuits, okay? I'm just letting you know. I was a construction worker on the commercial. I had a beautiful, delicious piece of chicken, a refreshing beverage, but something was missing. Fresh buttermilk biscuits made from scratch, boing. But I hadn't been in a movie, so I get an audition for a movie. Steven Spielberg producing, Robert Zemeckis directing. I mean, a movie. There's a cachet about that in Hollywood. Back to the Future. So I go in thinking there's no way I'm going to get the character of Biff, but maybe I could be one of Biff's gang members. Because I'm not a movie actor or anything, they'll probably give that to some huge star like Andrew McCarthy or Judd Nelson. But I go in for the audition, and the young lady who's an assistant casting director, she says, well, you're supposed to be God's gift to acting or something, so let's see this. You know, so I'm really on the spot. So I act this scene. She says, well, let me get Mike in here. The casting director comes in, I redo the scene. They introduce me to other actors when they start pairing you up. The first person I'm paired up with, Tom, we want you to do this scene. This is a young actor named Crispin Glover. I met Crispin Glover and we were paired together to do the scenes, the Biff and George McFly scenes together. And we kept going back over and over, callbacks they call it, where the crowd thins and it becomes just a few people left that might get this part. So they finally call, I mean, I'm nervous, I don't know what, they say, they want to see you one more time. You know, whatever, Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Or Steven Spielberg, Sid Sheinberg, the head of the studio, everyone's going to be there for your final audition. I said, Tuesday at 6:30? I have tickets for Bruce Springsteen at 7:30 on Tuesday. I mean, Bruce Springsteen. So I go to the audition, and I acted out with Crispin. There's a beautiful, you know, one of those conference tables and everything, all these big Hollywood showbiz people. And I'm just Biscuit Boy from KFC. But I do the scene, and I think, pretty good, did my best. Robert Zemeckis, the director, takes me aside and says, hey, Tom, I really want you to be physical with him. I want to see you go for it in this scene. So sometimes, especially as an actor, you know, we just go for it. We say, well, I came this far. I'm just pulling out all the stops. I'm going to go for it. And I took Crispin in a headlock, and I dragged him around the room. I dragged him across the table. McFly, I'm lifting him into the air. The shirt, I grabbed the shirt. I'm lifting him into the air. You butterbutt, you. But in all of this physicality, I completely lose my way in the scene. So I forget all the lines of the scene. Because I'm doing all this physical stuff, and then of course, in the back of your head, you're doing all physical stuff, and you're talking to yourself like, you idiot, you're wrecking the whole thing. He said be physical, not just completely beat the kid up. I'm totally lost in the scene, and Crispin's in the air. I put him down, I don't have any idea what to say, and I'm like, that's all I have today prepared. And scene, you know? And they say, thanks so much, Tom, for coming in. Yeah, thanks. Crispin, could you stay a little while? Thank you, Tom, really. I was the saddest person that has ever been at a Bruce Springsteen concert. The whole place, I ruined my whole career, putting the kid in a headlock. And the next morning they called and said, you got the part as Biff in this movie Back to the Future. Thank you. That's my one how I got it story. There will be Q&A things. This gentleman, you do your thing now. I didn't want to step on toes. I kind of did. If there are any calls for me, I'll be in this chair. Thanks. Please sit down, please. Please, we have to continue the questions. Please sit down. Do not rust the stage. Thank you.
All right. I feel bad for the one guy whose question was, hey, how'd you get involved in Back to the Future?
There you go.
Let's talk about, let's go all the way back to the beginning. Let's time travel, if you will, back. Back to the Future was not always the perfect movie that we all know it to be. Very different script originally. I don't know if you guys know this. The DeLorean was at one time a refrigerator that had to go into an atomic mushroom cloud to be activated. That probably sounds familiar. Steven Spielberg used that in another movie. I want to talk about your first reactions when you actually got the script, especially you, Chris. I heard that you threw it in the trash when you first got it. Is that true?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, I had gotten an offer to do a play back east in New Haven, Connecticut. And I kind of grew up there and spent many years in the city doing plays. And an opportunity came to go to the West Coast after having done a film, and so I had something on film I could show prospective agents, etc., rather than just going out there and dying from neglect, so to speak. And I did that, and things weren't really going well. I feel that I had lost contact with my roots, with New York and the theater, where I came from and all that. And it was time to go back there, leave Hollywood, etc., and go back to New York. And I got for incentive, I was offered a play, a very nice role in a play in New York. And then I was doing a film, a little independent film in Mexico. And I got word from, my agent sent me Back to the Future script. And I kind of just, went through it without paying much attention because I made up my mind I'm going back to New York. And I dumped it in the waste paper basket. And a person who was with me at the time said that I don't normally do that, which was true. I used to, any job opportunity that came up anywhere, even if it was very remote possibility, I'd hustle my ass and show up for it. And I thought this kind of violent, just dumping it without checking it out was kind of contrary to my usual behavior. So I went back, I met Bob Zemeckis, and we talked, and that was that. I went ahead and did it.
Yeah. I'm sure we could go around and ask everyone in here what makes this film special for them, and we would all have what would probably be a very honest, heartfelt answer. There's something about this movie that makes it different from any other movie. There's a quality that is so 80s and yet so timeless. I'm curious what personally makes it special for you guys?
Look, as a script, I was kind of amazed. Because if you really look around, no movie had been done where people go into a time machine and meet their parents. It would seem like it's kind of an obvious sort of, a tool of a story. So that's just, no one had done that. So it's a very novel idea, which brings you into family relationships. What if you went and met your mom and dad when they were your age? Would you like them? Would you end up to be friends with them? Are they actually like the people that they sort of present themselves as having been to you now? What kind of surprises would there be? So that is the wonderful, imaginative beginning of the story. So that already it starts with a lot of meat on its bones. You know what I mean? Just a fascinating beginning. And then with talented writers writing plot points, writing Biff and the guy at everybody's high school, and all that stuff. It becomes a script that, a script that is still used and referenced in film schools around the world. So, you know, and then as a human being, you know, as an actor, as a guy, coming onto a movie like that with an actor of great talent and renown like Chris, but I mean, just the hotness factor alone was worth doing. But it was a wonderful experience in that respect, that I was a young guy who was just trying to kind of be quiet and pay attention and learn how to do this, because suddenly I'm on a set and Robert Zemeckis is in, Steven Spielberg, Frank Marshall, Kathy Kennedy, Chris, all these people that knew way more about movies than I did. So it was a wonderful experience in that respect, a personal experience, to just be there and witness people at the absolute top of the industry make a movie that, you know, that ended up to be a classic for all time. It doesn't feel like that when you're making a movie. You're just like, I hope it's good, and I hope I'm good in this. You know, when shooting it, I was insecure, because on movies, there's so much to think about that, you know, I'm still a kid, and I'm still an actor from, you know, I did theater, and I did stand-up, but you just want everyone at the end of a take to just go, oh, you were fabulous. That's great. Wasn't he fab? Well, it's a big movie. They're spending a lot of money. So you finish the scene, and they just go, okay, we're at the staircase now, scene 64, let's go. So, you know, so I finally, insecure, I go up to Bob Zemeckis, the director, and I don't want to say it, but you kind of do. Like, Bob, is what I'm doing, like, working at all? Is this good? I don't know. And he says, Tom, look at all this equipment. You know, look at all these people. Look at all these workers. We're spending millions and millions of dollars. If it's not right, we just do it again. So, you know, it's great, and we're doing it, and the movie's great, so just, hey, keep going. But I didn't know. Did that make sense?
Totally. You guys,
But Chris might have, you know, his.
Yeah,
what's your experience of?
No, I've forgotten.
is there something that was kind of, like, is there something that you personally connect with in the film? I've heard that anytime it's on TV, watch it. Is there...
I'll answer for Chris.
All right,
you know,
yeah.
when he first saw the movie, go right ahead.
Oh,
Go right ahead, sir.
I love I find certain scientists kind of excite me, because they can go and get some problem to work out and figure out that nobody else can. And these guys like Stephen Hawkins, who recently passed away, and Albert Einstein and others, have that ability to see so far into the world and figure stuff out that's beyond most of us ever understanding. I felt that Doc Brown sort of personified that sort of human being. I mean, if somebody in real life today, figured out how you could have time travel, literally time travel, to do what Doc did. I mean, that would be amazing, that somebody is actually alive on the planet who figured out how to have time travel. So that's kind of, that notion kind of excited me.
You want to hear my idea about that? Maybe time travel exists in the future, and everyone came back to watch the Beatles, and that's how they happened.
That wasn't my idea.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
I know you guys obviously when the 2015 anniversary came around, you guys were asked a million times, what were you surprised that you predicted? One of the things I think that's interesting is the film really predicted our obsession with nostalgia and how nostalgic we are now, and especially for the 80s and the 90s. And is it weird to you though that the film was almost, you see so much of life imitating art, and I feel like Back to the Future 2 really did inform not only aesthetically cars and clothing and things like that, but just I think it really guessed where we were going as a culture, which I think is one of the more interesting things beyond self-lacing sneakers and things like that.
Take it, buddy. I think, I must say, I don't agree entirely that it was predictive culturally, because, it's a movie about a kid with a car that travels back and forth in time. So, yes, the Cubs won the World Series, but it was the wrong year. But there are no flying cars. And look, the day after flying cars are invented, that's going to be a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
That's going to be just as crowded as anywhere else. Because you'll be in your flying car, but it's a cloud, lady. You drive right through them. It's a cloud. You don't have to stop.
We haven't even figured out how to drive on the road yet, let alone in the sky.
So we sort of, the amazing thing is how, the culture swallows things so quickly.
Yeah.
It just accepts them and just keeps moving on.
And also, if I may interject,
Please.
Time travel is like part of a daily kind of daydreaming. I mean, I'm sure back in the day of Neanderthals, in some strange way, they might have had thoughts about what if they could be in another time behind us or in the future. So that's like a universal kind of thought about time travel. We all think at one point or another, gee, I wish I could go back to that day that so-and-so did this. I wish I could see how climate change changes things or something like that.
Who doesn't? Everyone wants time travel, because boy, if I knew now what I didn't know then, I would just go back to myself in high school and say, your gut's right, buddy. They don't know what they're talking about, So just go with that. Or what, you almost, if I could have just talked to myself, boy, I was dumb back then. But maybe, people 85 thinking, boy, I was dumb back when I was 78. If I could go back in time and be 78 one more time, just say, boy, those peas at the buffet are bad. Don't take them. Don't take any of them.
Obviously, this film we've talked about, it has continued to inspire fans and artists, but it also inspired a whole new generation of scientists and people who were into science and really made being a nerd cool in that way, where it was cool to be smart. What has that been like for you personally? Because you get to have those personal interactions with people who came up to you and said, Doc Brown really inspired me to follow science, and now those people are, leading the forefront on technology.
Yeah, I mean, so many people have come up to me over the years to say that they became engineers or astrophysicists or surgeons, doctors, engineering, because of when they grew up, they were influenced by the movie, and which I think is pretty great.
Yeah.
And sometimes not have influence people, not just into particular careers, but of a kind of outlook on life that means something to them. So it's not often that you get to be in something that might be entertaining and exciting, whatever, but kind of sticks with you and affects the way you live.
Yeah.
Tom, so many people have come up to me and said, thank you for inspiring me. I now rough people up for the mafia. That's heartwarming, because it comes in here. Human heart speaks to human heart, and you feel that from them. and you make eye contact, and you hug. Maybe a little bit longer than everyone's comfortable with, but that's okay.
Yeah, you've inspired a whole new generation of bullies, for sure.
Actually, Biff, is the interesting thing to me is that because, not getting deeply, but I was bullied when I was young, and I knew guys like Biff. I had asthma, I was absent from school all the time, I was in the hospital, you could figure me out very quickly in high school, all right? I played the tuba, and I was on the debating team. Paint your own picture, okay?
You were at George McFly in high school.
Yes.
You were at George.
So many people have come up to me and have dealt with issues in their lives about bullying through Back to the Future, through interviews they've heard about me and saying, actually, my auditions for Back to the Future, I was doing an impression of guys that I had seen in my face in high school. You know, so many times. At the audition for Back to the Future, that first one with Crispin, well, you don't want to hear, we'll get to your questions. Blah, 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 I know. But, so I wanted to make it real in my life. I'd never played a bully before. I played jocks, I played construction workers, I'd never played a bully like this. But I wanted this audition to be really good. I wanted to be good with it. And you know, in an audition like that, as Chris knows, you invest a part of yourself in it. You really kind of go for it, you know? The first time I read with Crispin, we take the pages out, and I go, "Hey, McFly, are you finished with my homework?" And he changes into that kind of question mark thing, and he just became so frightened.
Question mark?
And he became so frightened and so sensitive in his eyes that I had to stop acting because I almost started to cry because I was looking at myself. You know, I stopped the scene, and he said, "Are you all right?" Yeah. I missed the page. I missed something. Let's start it again. I had to start it again and remind myself in a way like, look, it's not real. I mean, this is pretend. You're not actually doing this. I mean, in the car, I bored Lea. Lea's not here, God bless her heart, but I bored her in that car when I'm making her cry. Like after every take, I would lean into the car door and say just, "I'm so sorry, Lea, to be doing this. This is pretend and it's against any nature that I have to do." And she's like, "It's fine, we're in a movie. Get out of the car, we have to do it again. I'm acting, get away from me." "Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure you knew. It's just pretend, I'm pretending."
I gotta say, I mean, I think it's a testament to your performance because we've all collectively known you for about 15 minutes now, and you seem like the nicest guy in the world. So, amazing job. 'Cause I can't even picture you as Biff, and you're sitting right next to me.
I just, if I might interject, I just had a recollection. Thinking about bullying and so forth, and I've never had it before. This is a memory I haven't. It's like way back in the attic somewhere, and it just popped up. When I was in the 2nd or 3rd grade, I had a kind of a horror of the bigger guys who could beat you up, and I was a pretty withdrawn, timid sort of creature. And there was a guy that I just realized resembles you. And he was a big, hulking guy, and he was the 2nd grade bully. You know, he was that guy. And he did something on the stairwell to the school that really got to me. So that I forgot about and pretty soon I was straddling him and going like this. And I wasn't doing any damage. He was lying down there laughing at me, laughing as I was wanting to totally destroy him. And so you are like a grown-up version of that person.
Wait, hold on.
In my mind, I just thought of that. You are this type of person I steer away from. I try to avoid.
Yes.
So
But I love you.
And I love you. Because it's all
I have a question, and I don't mean this in the wrong way. Did you discover time travel and go back and bully young Christopher Lloyd?
Yeah.
Remember this? I'm doing this thing. So Bob's back. It was fancy schmancy. I went to Steven's screening room at Amblin Entertainment. They showed me a screening of The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. They say, look at Lee Marvin. Look at how he moved like a bad guy. So I had all this stuff, how to kind of how the gunslinger sort of slouches. It just has this, this thing. Not threatening like Biff, but it's sort of like, I could just kill you with a gun right here. I'm not worried about you. So I was doing all this stuff, ching, ching, and I had a quirt, which is that short whip. I had that in my hand because Lee Marvin used one of those in The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and he beat up Jimmy Stewart with it. Anyway, later in the movie, those guys at the table, called me over to hey, Tom, come on over here. And I said, yeah, fellas. He says, well, we've been talking, and, well, we kind of think, you sort of remind us of Lee Marvin. I said, well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Nice, praise. All right, let's go over here. I think we got a little Marty McFly here.
Could I ask you, let me restart. Can I ask you both a question right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So for Christopher, if there was a Back to the Future Part 4, where did you go in the train?
Where'd you go in the train? Back to the Future 4, let's say there was one. Where would you go in the train?
Wow. Are you going to be here next year? Because I need to think about that. I don't know.
I think you've said a few times you would have liked to have seen Doc go to Rome. I think you've said that before.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a hell of a thing to see back in its day.
Yeah.
I wanted to play Bifficus and have a chariot race. With the spikes, remember Ben-Hur? The spikes on the chariot wheels?
And then
one of those things.
And then the DeLorean doesn't have to work, so you have to hook it up to a chariot.
That's right.
to get it going.
That'd be fun.
Where we go? Start writing the script. Yeah, start working on it. Did you have a question for Thomas?
Oh, sorry, buddy.
This is gonna sound really silly, but how does manure taste?
Manure tastes just fine. Because when you put manure in your mouth the whole time, they're paying you.
Go ahead.
Please interject.
Some time ago, went Back to the Future 2 or 3, I'm not sure, maybe 1, premiered in London. And I was doing a film in Poland at the time. I was there for about 3 months. And during that time, the premiere came up in London, so they arranged for me to go to London for the premiere, which was being Princess Diane was...
We met her together, yes.
Yeah,
it was a benefit for the Princess Trust, and they invited us to London, and Princess Diana was there, and everybody, all the Andrew Lloyd Webber also. It was very, very highfalutin, and we got to meet Princess Diana.
Yeah, and Michael was not able to attend because he had another job or something like that, and so I got bumped up, and I ended up sitting next to Princess Diana in the front of balcony or something like that. And I thought, here's this extraordinary person who kind of epitomizes the royal way about things and all that. And when we walked in, or she walked in ahead of me to sit down, and there were trumpeters on the stage, da-da-da-da, etc. So it was like really cool.
It was really something.
Very dignified. So and then I went up and sat down next to her, and I felt like I was a gate with Diana. Anyway, every once in a while she'd say a little something, just a little conversation thing. I didn't know what to say. I didn't talk. And she was very quiet and composed the way you'd expect. And then the scene where you run into the back of the manure truck, and all the shit comes down and buries you. She laughed out loud. She just really kind of lost it for a second. And I thought, here's the royalty sitting here, but they all laugh at the same shit. True story.
That kid wins the question game. All right, tough act to follow. Yes, sir. We got time for a few more.
Yes, sir. Just wanted to ask, it's kind of more for Mr. Wilson. On the 100th episode of The Goldbergs, I guess, how did y'all feel that y'all saw that the theme of that dance, or the theme of the episode, they had some of the kids dressed up as Back to the Future characters. They had two boys dressed as two of your guys, Mr. Wilson, but along with the fact that it was also directed by Miss Lea Thompson. If y'all got word about that episode.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't get to see it, and I didn't know that there was a Goldbergs episode like that, and I wasn't made aware of it. There have been many Back to the Future tributes, and I've talked about kind of my favorite one. It's a very obscure. Do you guys see the movie Once?
Yeah.
It's a wonderful movie. Well, the same director did a movie called Sing Street.
Yeah.
Comes with my highest recommendation.
So good. It's on Netflix.
Wonderful movie on Netflix. But there's a school dance in the movie, and the whole thing is kind of a musical number based on Back to the Future, which was really a beautiful movie scene. But yeah, Timeless did a thing about it. There have been many shows. Chris has done, I think you've done episodes of things that were doing sort of Back to the Future tribute things. But I'm not unfamiliar with that one. But I'm sure if the guys looked like me, the ladies were happy.
All right, we got time for just a couple more. Let's go over here. Hi.
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 So, before I ask the question, I just wanted to tell you that the Back to the Future trilogy really did change my life, and I just love it so much. And I watched it when I was 10 years old with my parents. My mom's right here, and unfortunately my dad couldn't make it today, but he really wanted to, and him and I were wondering, for both of you, which one is your favorite and why? Which Back to the Future movie?
Which movie is your favorite? Back to the Future movie. Which one did you like the most?
I guess I'm being pressured to answer this first. My favorite is Back to the Future 3. I loved it because it was horseback riding, all that work on that steam engine, all that. Mary Steenburgen was my love interest. There were 2 nights where we shot all night at the fair, and Back to the Future 3, there's an all-night fair that goes on, dancing, one thing and another, and ZZ Top played. And they play whatever for the dance, and then while things were being set up again, they'd play with some of the townspeople. And, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
It was great. My favorite, yes, the third one. I'm from Philadelphia, so growing up, I could ride trains, buses, cars. I didn't do any horseback riding. I wasn't in any westerns. So for a kid from Philadelphia, to have them approach me and say, you know, Tom, the movie makers, you know, Tom, in the third one, you're going to be a gunslinger, so you're going to have to learn how to kind of spin a gun, shoot a gun, ride horses, rope above your head, riding on a horse. And it was very intimidating, but so exciting. So exciting. I learned how to horseback ride by a man named Corky Randall. He taught the director John Ford how to ride. He rode horses on John Wayne movies. Unbelievable, historic people from westerns, you know. I learned, I'll do it briefly, but I learned how to shoot the quick draw, you know, from Arvo Ojala, a man who was legendary as the quick draw guy with the single action shooter, you know. And he was a very elderly man at that point and moved very slowly. And he was the slowest, fastest man I've ever seen because he really would. So Tom, you have to use your thumb, and then you hit the hammer with. So he was just unbelievable. He could shoot that gun 3 times and it sounded like one bang. You know, with a single action, you have to click back the hammer, like click, click, bang. So he'd draw it with his thumb, click, click, bang, and then with his thumb, click, click, bang, and his pinky, bang. So you, all right, now I'll do the 3. See, I shot it 3 times. So Arvo Ojala was great, but it was such an adventure, you know, to ride a literal bucking bronco. When the horse got out of control, I stayed on. I still have a silver belt buckle. I am not a cowboy, but I have one big belt buckle that commemorates when the horse tried to throw me, and I was hanging on, you know. And you expect in that the horse is just, I mean, he's jumping, and you think everyone will say, hey, let's help Tom. Somebody calm the horse down. You know what everyone's saying? Yeah! The stuntman. Yeah, hang on, Tom. Woo! I mean, my life absolutely flashed before my eyes. I had to change my pants. But it was really one of the coolest things that ever happened to me.
All right. Well, we are unfortunately out of time. No, that's okay. You can boo that pun. These guys have to make like a tree and get out of here. So I would love for you to give them a huge round of applause. By the way, if you have questions, these guys are doing another panel on Sunday. I will be hosting again. So please, if you did not get your question, please come back on Sunday. We will see you again.